Hey guys, it's Coffee and Curiosity. I'm George,
And I'm Jen.
and today we're going to be talking about Forrest Fenn, the man who created the famous Rocky Mountain treasure hunt.
Yeah. So come on, grab your coffee and listen along.
All right. For those of you who don't know, in 1988, Forrest Fenn from Santa Fe, New Mexico, is diagnosed with a terminal cancer, and this is what inspired him to hide a treasure chest in the Rocky Mountains for somebody to find.
Pretty cool.
He originally wanted the treasure to be buried where his body would be buried in a special spot, and wanted people to get out there and go searching in the mountains like he used to do.
Yeah, he wanted to make people more adventurous.
And he wanted to give them a good excuse to go looking for a treasure.
Yeah, and to get kids off their electronics.
A real life treasure.
Yeah, that's so cool. A modern day Goonies. That's what I thought when I first heard about it.
Yeah, it's like a Goonies in real life.
Yeah, I was so excited because that's like my favorite movie. I was like, a modern day Goonies.
So he actually recovers from this cancer and doesn't die. So about 2010, he decides, you know what, I think I should hide this treasure anyways. And he goes and puts this treasure out there in the Rocky Mountains somewhere and writes a book about his life that contains a poem with the clues that'll lead you to the treasure.
Called The Thrill of the Chase.
Yep, the thrill of the chase. And he said it took him like 15 years to actually write this poem and figure out all the details.
Yeah, he said he crafted his poem for years.
So he puts this book out, and he didn't think it was going to explode like it did. He thought it was just mainly for the people in New Mexico and Santa Fe.
Yeah, I remember Forrest saying he originally thought it was going to like remain local, and then it turned out to be huge.
Well, of course, when you got possibly millions in a treasure chest, a lot of people are going to want to go look for that.
Yeah, they were excited. I never actually heard of Forrest Fenn before you told me about the hidden treasure somewhere in the Rockies, and I thought that was really cool. And that's when we got the book and decided to do some research.
Yeah, so he claims to have hidden gold nuggets, rare coins, jewelry, and gemstones in this treasure.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember seeing the pictures of that, and I was wondering why Forrest took the pretty gemstones out of the chest.
Yeah, he said he took the rubies out.
Yeah, he should have kept them in.
Yeah, I don't know why he took them out. Those might have been the best part.
Yeah, I wonder too.
So we got the book about 2 or 3 years ago. This is actually probably about 6-7 years after the chest already was put out there and it still wasn't found.
Yeah, we got into the chase pretty late.
And realized there's a big community out there looking and still no luck.
Yeah, there was a huge online presence of people chatting about their different solves and trying not to give away their whole solve though, and I found that interesting. It brought so many people together.
Yeah, it brought a bunch of people together and everybody just looking for this thing and wondering, did he really hide it? How come we haven't found it after so long?
Yeah, and one thing I found pretty amazing was that when you search online and you're looking at all the different information that's out there, you come to find that there's some searchers that have been at this since the book came out, and they still haven't found the chest.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there since the beginning and still hasn't been found. And when you're looking at the maps and everything and looking at the clues in the maps, it just seems like there's so many possibilities where this thing could lead you to. Like home up round could be have so many different interpretations.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of people online were all giving their solves, and they all thought they had the correct one, and it was different answers.
And then there were some people saying they found the spot, but it was gone, and somebody must have already found it. They're sure that was the spot.
Oh, yeah, I remember there was a story back in 2013. Some lady was saying that she had already found the spot, but the chest was gone.
Yeah, a lot of people thought that, I guess.
I remember wondering, like, before we really dove into the chase, if this was, like, true or not, if Forrest actually hid the chest out there.
Yeah, still unknown to this day, but this guy Jack found it, they say.
Yeah, Jack found the chest.
Jack Stoof.
But after like reading the book and watching Forrest's interviews and learning more about him, I definitely thought that he hid the chest.
Yeah, so on June 6, 2020, Fenn posted on the Thrill of the Chase blog that the treasure chest had been found.
That was a sucky feeling when we found out that the chest had been found.
Yeah, it's like the whole chase is just over now. It's depressing.
Yeah, I was like, wah, wah. I remember being excited to always work on myself and do research online and try to figure out like the best spot. And when he said that it was found, it was almost like, wait, is this true? It can't be true. What if the person's lying? It's like you were hoping the person was lying and that it was still going on.
Yeah, and then what really irked some people is that the guy wanted to hide his identity and he wouldn't tell who he was.
Yeah, that's really, it's really annoying that he won't tell where it was and give answers to any of the clues and stuff.
Yeah, and then Forrest actually passes away in September.
Yeah, the timing of this whole thing of the chest being found and Forrest passing away and stuff, it's like ironic, you know?
Yeah, just a few months later, Forrest passes away. Sad.
Yeah, it is sad. Poor Forrest.
And then after Forrest passes, the finder actually comes out and identifies himself as this guy, Jack Stoof.
Yeah, I thought that once the chest was found, we were at least going to have some answers about the clues in the poem or whatever, the book, and we were going to get some kind of answers, but I guess not. And I remember Forrest saying that once it was found, people were going to be like, oh, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, so that led you to believe that when it was found, the spot would be told.
Yeah, I was definitely like thinking, oh, we're going to finally at least get some answers and like figure out if what we had was semi close to where the chest was found. And then, of course, this guy comes out with his name or whatever and then just doesn't release any information, which is kind of bizarre to me.
Even in the beginning, they wouldn't even say, Forrest or anybody wouldn't tell you where it was actually found for the first month or so. And then finally they come out and say it was found in Wyoming. And that's all we have to this day, really.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I wish I wish we could find out some answers to this poem that people have been working on for so long trying to solve it. It seems unfair that seems unfair that Forrest would sell this book and this poem and get people into it for years and then not give them any answers at the end or give the finder the option of whether or not they want to reveal the spot or any clues or anything. It seems kind of like unfair, and from listening to people after the chest was found, like in the online community, they seem pretty disgusted with the ending of this chase.
Yeah, I actually think a lot of people, if they knew beforehand that once somebody finds it, the location wouldn't be out to the public.
Yeah, it wouldn't be revealed.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people would have chose not to search because they would have found that a little fishy.
Yeah, I definitely like part of the excitement, like after finding out the chest was found, is finding out what the answers would have been to know if your solve was semi close or whatever and see if you're on the right path with the clues and stuff. And it just kind of sucks that like there's no answers for anyone and people have been at this thing for years, you know? So it's hugely disappointing, I'm sure, for so many people.
Yeah, it's a terrible ending so far, but you never know. Will it come forward? Will Jack end up telling us where it was hidden? Doesn't seem likely at this point, but it's possible.
Yeah, and it seems weird. Like, why would Jack even want to release his name then if he didn't want to tell any information? You know, it seems kind of odd.
Yeah, I didn't get that either.
Yeah, something seems sort of weird, and I know some people think like online that there's some sort of conspiracy or whatever you have it going on with whether like he actually did find the chest or Forrest just wanted the search to be over or things like that.
Yeah, a lot of people believe that he didn't want this to go on for his family when he passed away, and maybe that's why it was all of a sudden found a few months before he passed.
Yeah, I know that a lot of people have had that assumption that he just didn't want his family to have to deal with the crazies and stuff that were happening to come to his house and search and whatever the case is. So he just did something to end it so they didn't have to deal with it.
Yeah, there were people that actually came to his house. One of the guys came to his house thinking the clues led him to Forrest's house.
Yeah,
he came down with an axe, busting down the door.
That was funny. I remember that, and I was actually kind of surprised that like when that happened, Forrest didn't just like call the chase off and get annoyed.
Yeah, even when there was deaths in the chase, he decided not to call it off.
Yeah, people died searching. And that's another thing, like why I would figure Forrest would release some answers to the clues to the poem. I mean, people died searching for this chest, you know?
Yeah, all we have is Forrest's word and Jack's word as of now. And Shiloh, his grandson.
Yeah. I hope at some point we can get some answers, you know?
Well, yeah, so what do you think? Do you think Forrest is a truth teller, or you think he's telling a lie?
I think Forrest is a truth teller, but I think a funny thing about Forrest is that he was like very clever, and he seemed like he could be sneaky at times, and it was easy for him to manipulate like people.
Well, one of the things he did, he was an art dealer, and he started off by selling fake art and said, "Who's the fake? You or the art? Who's the phony?"
Yeah, that's a great example. You know, he's like, "Who's the fake? You?"
So he's selling you fake art and selling it at a pretty high price.
Yeah, a really high price, and I don't think people would get away with that today, but Forrest did back then. And that's just a great example of how, you know, he's a good salesman there.
Yeah, and this treasure chase is a perfect sales pitch. Hey, buy my book and you can find a treasure worth millions.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I think that too. Like, that's why they were wondering, well, did this guy actually even hide the chest? Because people were searching for this thing, like, for years, day in and day out. Something I found interesting was how it was said that Jack got the book and the poem, and then, like, within a time frame of 3 weeks or so, he actually found the chest.
I'm not sure if that time frame is exactly right. We heard it on a YouTube channel. And
yeah, I'm not sure if that's 100% accurate, but if it is, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, how did this guy find it within a couple weeks, and everybody's been searching for years?
Yeah, and I always felt like that just maybe people weren't looking at it from the right perspective or something like that, because so many people had searched for so long for this thing. So if Jack did find it semi-quick to get in the book, then I wonder how he looked at it and what made him figure it out. He also said that, I think he said that it helped him, what helped him solve the poem was a mess up that Forrest made in an interview, right?
Yeah, he said Forrest had a slip up.
Yeah, and when I heard that, I was really eager to find out what slip up that is. I wish he would have at least explained that when he let that out, that Forrest had a slip up and that helped him with his solve. I wish he would have told us what that was, because that'd be really interesting to know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that could be. There's so many interviews Forrest has done and so many potential mess ups.
Yeah, and that's why I'm so curious, because I remember we watched like a lot of Forrest's interviews and rewatched them from time to time, and I always wondered if he ever answered anything differently. And I think we even found a few times that Forrest would contradict some of his answers here and there. He'd say like different responses for the same question or something like that, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah, he did have a few different answers for the same question. Like, he used to say in the beginning, like, the chest was worth a few $100,000, and then as time went on, then he said up to $1 million, then he said a few million, and it just kept increasing and increasing. So how much is this treasure really worth?
Yeah, that's a good point. I remember that as well. And also, it seems like the chest might not have been worth as much money as they were saying. That's some of the things I've seen online people were saying.
Yeah, some people were saying that it was worth a few $100,000 or something like that, not the millions that Forrest claimed.
Yeah, they said it didn't look like, from the pictures, it didn't look like it was worth as much as Forrest had claimed it was.
Which kind of makes sense, because in the beginning he was saying it was worth a few $100,000.
Yeah, so how could that just jump up so high to $1 million or millions, you know?
Yeah, doesn't make sense.
Although Forrest did admit he likes to embellish some of his stories in the book, so maybe that's a embellishment on his part.
Yeah, he did say that. He likes to tell a few tales here and there.
And I always wondered exactly like what part of his stories did he embellish or change a little bit, you know?
Yeah, he doesn't really make that clear.
No, he never does. He just puts it out there that he does it, but we don't know what he actually embellished.
Another thing we always wondered about is how a lot of these searchers who had YouTube channels seemed to get close with Fenn and go hang out with him all the time, and we wondered if they were getting some extra hints, but he always claimed no, they weren't getting any hints.
Yeah, I always wondered that, like, some of these people seem like they got lucky and they got to hang out with Fenn and get to know him, and they would talk about going over his house and just talking about anything. And I remember wondering, like, too, like, I wonder if Fenn gives them hints or clues that he's not releasing publicly.
Yeah, he always said no, but recently, one of the YouTubers, Cynthia Meacham, said that Forrest kind of told her what state it was in almost by saying that he was in Cody when he hit the chest.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty telling when we heard her say that on her video. And that kind of just like goes to show, I guess Fenn was kind of giving some people special hints and clues.
Yeah, that's a pretty huge hint. That's kind of unfair if you ask me.
Yeah, I think it's unfair too, because he was saying all along that he wasn't, but apparently I think he was. And then those stories came out about Fenn giving girls special hints or clues if they would send him pictures, which we don't know if that's true or accurate or not, but that was pretty awkward, I guess, to read, right?
Yeah, I don't think that was all true, but
Yeah.
maybe he just wanted pictures and gave him false hope that if they would send him some.
They'd get some special clues or something, yeah. But it was just weird because, like, I remember, like, when we seen that, like, a few more people came out and said, yeah, he did that. He asked me for pictures, too, and stuff like that. So that was kind of weird because he didn't seem like that, but who knows? People say anything online, so.
Yeah, is Forrest Fenn taking pictures for hints? What's going on here, Forrest? Come on.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the book a little bit. What was your favorite story from the book?
Well, like I said, I didn't really. I knew nothing about Forrest Fenn before you told me about the treasure in the Rockies. So when we got the book, I thought what was interesting about Fenn was just, I guess, him telling his whole life story, but mainly just the specific stories that he told and how, like, he was so I just remember thinking how, like, he seemed so clever to have his art business in the way that he did and make it really profitable. And I would say my favorite story from the book would be the chapter My War for Me, and it talks all about Fenn in the Air Force and his stories having to go along with that. How about you? What's your favorite chapter of the book?
My favorite chapter of the book was the one called Looking for Lewis and Clark, where him and his friend Donnie rented some horses and were on that adventure, and Forrest ends up getting them lost.
Yeah, that was a fun chapter to read. I feel like that chapter really let you get to see Fenn's personality a little bit and stuff.
Yeah, that was a funny one to read.
And it sounded like fun going on a trip like that and renting horses with your friend.
Yeah, must have been scary getting lost.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that did seem scary in the dark there.
And he says in the book there are subtle hints for their finding the treasure. And we always wondered what the subtle hints were. Could there be any pictures that were subtle hints?
Yeah, that statement always kind of drove me crazy. I was always trying to figure out, like, what the subtle hints could be. I often wondered if the timestamps on some of the pictures were any kind of subtle hint, or maybe the pictures themselves, especially the pictures on the front cover. I often wondered about.
Yeah, I wonder if any of those pictures had any clues in them.
Yeah.
Only Jack knows.
I know. That's why it would be great if you would come forward with a little more answers. I'm sure everyone wants to know these questions that we have.
I think it was cool how Forrest made this treasure hunt, and it kind of brought a bunch of groups together, a bunch of people together.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I agree. It's crazy to see, like, when we were doing all our research, how many people actually got brought together by Fenn, and I don't know if Forrest actually predicted that would happen, but they even had, like, special meetings, like, that they'd meet every year. Fennbury, I think it was.
Fennbury,
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That looks pretty fun, and a lot of people got to meet one another. And
Forrest went to them, actually.
yeah, and Forrest was there, and Forrest kind of gave people a common interest to all have in common to meet one another and chat. So that was kind of cool.
And he said his goal for this whole thing was to get more people outside, and I think he accomplished that goal.
Yeah, I think he definitely accomplished that goal as well, and it got us outside a little bit.
Yeah, through hiking trails and stuff like that.
Yeah, just talking about ourselves and what we thought. And I just remember having like a few different places that I thought could be the right place and a few different solves, but never had really that one that I thought was it. And I remember reading online, like a lot of people always thought they had the right solve, and they would be telling other people, and you would see like how Forrest said, don't get too involved in the online chattery or whatever.
Yeah, he said don't take anybody else's words for hints because he's only going to be the one giving you hints.
Yeah, and I remember like there was a lot of information being talked about and kind of like passed around that wasn't accurate and not from Forrest's mouth. So I think that's how some like misinformation got out there too. That people were considering like actual facts and clues or hints, and they weren't, or it wasn't. He never even said that stuff.
It actually got us to hide our own treasure too. Remember that?
Oh yeah, you had the idea to hide your own little treasure in our local hiking trail.
Yeah, put a little Bitcoin in there, and nobody found it yet. So that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, to this day it remains.
Still didn't get that finder.
Wonder when you're gonna get that email. Another thing that was interesting about the chase was how Forrest would actually know that someone found the chest. I remember he kind of had a different answer for that question a few times.
Yeah, he always had a different answer. Yeah, sometimes he said he would know if somebody found it, and then there was other times where he says he wouldn't know if somebody found it.
Yeah, and he kind of contradicted himself there, and I always wondered about that. I thought that was interesting. And one thing I kind of always thought maybe Forrest threw in some like a title to land somewhere, something like that, and you had to contact him for this title to some sort of land or something. I kind of just thought that maybe that could have been a reason why someone would contact him or something. It was an idea I had, I guess.
Yeah, that's a theory out there. We had lots of different solves that we couldn't really put a real solid one together, it seemed like, because it always seemed like, oh, this can mean anything.
Yeah, and it's another thing that I found interesting while trying to find answers to some of my solves and stuff was that a lot of things I would like research would seem to come up and have some relevance to the chase and to what I was looking at, so it seemed like they would fit, but you never were actually sure if it did fit. A lot of things seem to fit or have some kind of relevance to something having to do with the chase, but you just don't know if they did or not. So I thought that was kind of weird. Like even words I would look up, there would always be some sort of attachment back to the chase I would find.
That's why it was so hard to find, probably, because so many different words could lead to this clue, so many different scenarios, you know?
Yeah, and Forrest said like he crafted this thing for a really, really long time, so...
He always said to simplify the poem, though, and he said look at it through a kid's eyes.
Yeah, that's what made me think to try and look at the poem from a different perspective than I was previously.
Unfortunately, Jack beat you to it. So after the chase ends, there's a lot of people that are depressed, sad, angry, suspicious.
Yeah, there's so many different feelings that come along with the ending of the chase, and I just think a lot of people thought the outcome was going to be different, and I think they thought they would definitely find out like the answers to the poem at least, and I think Forrest kind of led people to believe that. So I think a lot of people thought like it was a really good thing he did, but then it had a really bad ending to it, you know?
Yeah, that's why a lot of people are suspicious, because nobody knows where it was hidden. Nobody knows what location this thing was.
Yeah, and hopefully Jack will come out and eventually say something, which doesn't seem like he will, but maybe.
Yeah, Jack, if you want to let us know personally, give us a message.
One thing I wanted to mention was that I kind of always liked Forrest's quotes in the book. In the part Dancing with the Millennium, how he said, "It doesn't matter who you are, it only matters who they think you are." I always thought that was kind of a cool quote he said. And imagination is more important than knowledge. Those were kind of neat. And I always wondered if any of his quotes had anything to do with the solve or not.
I guess we'll never know unless Jack gives us the answers. So do you think Forrest is a phony? What is your final answer?
I think the way it ended is a little peculiar, but I think Forrest hid the chest. How about you? What do you think?
I would say 75% of me thinks that he hid the chest, and the other 25% of me thinks maybe he called it off or never really hit it.
Yeah, I also think he could have called it off as well, or something along those lines, but I do think he did hide the chest.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, let us know your stories and solves.
Have any of you talked to Forrest personally? We emailed him a few times and never got back to us.
Yeah, he never responded back, but I know he responded back to quite a few people, so.
Well, he's responded back to a lot of people.
Especially the ladies.
Seemed like Forrest had a lot of lady friends.
Yeah. Well, let us know your guys' stories or what you guys think, if the chest was ever really out there or not.
Let us know. You could email us at coffeecuriositypod@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at
Curious Coffee PC.
Curious Coffee PC.
Sounds good, guys.
Let us know if there's anything else we should talk about on Forrest Fenn. If you want any updates, maybe Jack will come forward soon. Who knows?
That'd be nice. Thanks for listening, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.